for Sunday, August 2nd, 2020. This is the Pro and Con Show, and I am your host, Michael James Ott. Welcome to the show. Purpose of the show, just like as the name might imply, so pro and con, so us being better citizens, right? And that means we have to spend some time. I'm not talking about 40 hours a week, but I am talking about a handful of hours a month, maybe an hour or two a week, spending time ferreting out the truth and working together to step by step understand each other better and understand the issues, the whole spectrum of the issues, not just sides of the issues that we agree with, but the sides that we disagree with. Because truth is, any issue, even eating a bowl of ice cream, has pros and cons, right? Good and bad, for and against, pro and con, hence the Pro and Con Show. So today's show, I'm calling it Michael. And you might think, well, that's me. But no, it's not. So a few months ago, just generically, okay. A few months ago, ESPN put together a special on the Chicago Bulls, and it was called The Last Dance. And then it ended up on Netflix, and I was able to binge watch that. So, thanks to the coronavirus and stuff, spending a lot of time, mostly in isolation or often in isolation. Watch this series called The Last Dance. And I was an Illinois citizen back in the day, resident, actually, when I was young, and then actually during the 90s, I was probably living in the Carolinas, but was a huge Michael Jordan fan, some billions of people around the planet back in the day for sure, and maybe even still today. And the show depicts the step-by-step process of these championship years, and it goes back to Michael Jordan and when he was a youth, and some of the challenges and kind of the arc of his story, and then the arc of the story of the Chicago Bulls. And one of the things that was very repetitive in the show was that, and this was really anyone around Michael Jordan, he was a very, including himself, he would say these things about himself, an incredibly driven, competitive person. So Michael Jordan wanted to win, and he that whole thing about competing, it just drove him. And he implies in his interviews and stuff, it still drives him today. And so he was absolutely driven, and so from a young person, when he didn't make a team or something like that, he would just put his head down and just say, well, I am going to work at it. And he talks about his dad, and his dad having some influence in that, and basically saying, hey, you can achieve a lot. If you work hard enough at things, you can achieve a lot. So that's one point of this show, is if you work at some things, you can achieve things. And what you and I need to be doing is we need to be doing a better job of being citizens. And we need to work at it a little bit more. Again, not 40 hours a week, but a handful of hours a month. We need to work on it a little bit more, you and I. And if we work on it, we will achieve a lot more than we've been achieving over the last couple of decades. But anyway, back to the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan. So, he was just mega focused and driven to excel at basketball. He he liked the game of basketball, and he got to a certain level where he was pretty good at it, and basically that just said to him, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to try to do it better than anybody else has ever done it before. And so what did he do? Well, he practiced himself like crazy. He practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. When he was a youth, when he was in high school, when he was in college, when he was in the NBA, he practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And he studied the game, and he studied his opponents, and he listened to his coaches and stuff like that. And all of it with, the singular thing of every time I step on the basketball court, every time there's a game to be played, I want to win that game. Well, that also meant, because it's a team sport, he's not a tennis player or a professional bowler or a golfer or something where it's an individual sport. This is a team thing. And so he also used to ride his teammates unmercilessly. And they, and so in the interviews with them, because this program, talked not only to Michael Jordan, but many of his teammates over the years, and the different things and some of their story arcs, how they came to be in the NBA and on the Chicago Bulls. And again, there was this kind of universal thing that, many of them didn't really like Michael Jordan a lot. And the other thing that was true about Jordan, which is true about a lot of leaders that become, singular and popular or whatever, is it's a very lonely place. So Michael Jordan, even though, he would get on a basketball court and he'd have thousands and thousands of people cheering for him, just imagine that burden that every time you step off the court, you'd have, everyone would instantly recognize you and be asking you for your autograph and all this kind of stuff. And just imagine if in your life as an individual, if everywhere you went, someone was constantly, oh, you're great, and oh, can I have your autograph, and are you going to win the next game, and all this kind of stuff. Wouldn't it would just drive you crazy. And so there's parts of the show where he is in this hotel room all by himself, and he's really basking in this being alone. And then it also comes to light that he had a very small security entourage, just a handful of people, and some of these people became his best friends. Why? Because they were with him all the time, and they wouldn't be constantly gushing over him, or they would just treat him like a normal person. They would befriend him. Well, how you feeling? Well, you're not feeling that good. Oh, that's too bad. They just were kind of the normalcy in this life that was absolutely abnormal, and just regular good people around him. And that's one of the positive things. Another thing that I want to point out is that leaders, they need to realize that their lives are a lonely thing, and they need to have this core group of people that are just genuinely good people that just treat them like normal people. And that's one of the things that Mr. Trump does not have. He has nobody. Nobody treats him like a normal person. He has no one normal around him, because he has these mental health issues. And again, I've talked about those in the past. He doesn't permit this kind of stuff. If you're not, constantly telling him how wonderful he is, he doesn't want to be around you, because he has those kinds of mental health issues. Anyway, the other key point that I want to make from this is going back to the fact that he was not all that popular amongst his teammates and whatnot. That's one of the things that leaders, they're not. You know a good leader when they're doing two things. One is they're leading by example. So they're doing things and they're asking other people to do them. They never ask other people to do them if they won't do them themselves. And for sure with Michael Jordan and all the practice regimen and stuff, and the weightlifting and the exercise and the shooting and the passing and all the drills and everything that they were constantly doing, and he was driving, okay, he did those things himself more, in almost all cases, and the teammates would say more than we would do. He just was driven. And so he never asked any teammate to do something as far as exercise or practice or whatever that he wasn't doing himself. So lead by example. And then the second thing is, they push and they do things for the common good. In the case of the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan wanted to win basketball games. He wanted to win championships. And the players on the team with him wanted to win basketball games and wanted to win championships. Now, they might not have wanted to win them as bad as Michael Jordan did. They might not have quite had that much drive, but they wanted to. They wanted. And looking back, when you were looking at the interviews of these players, and now of course this is 20 years in the past or whatever, they would say, he drove us like crazy, and I wasn't very happy about a lot of the stuff at the time, but looking back at it, we won. We won games, we won championships. And I'm very happy that that's part of my legacy at this point. So so I point these things out because leadership is a huge thing. I was in the United States Navy. I saw all kinds of different leaders, across my years in the United States Navy, across all the different facilities and submarines and stuff that I was on. And there was just dozens and dozens and dozens of case studies, if you will, in leadership. And what I am telling you is that Mr. Trump and his leadership, so-called leadership style, which he has none, is horrific relative to what I have seen and Michael Jordan provided an example of for leadership to us, to all of us. Okay? So the show, again, was on ESPN originally. It was produced by them. Now on Netflix, it's called The Last Dance. And it's worth watching. And especially, of course, if you liked the Chicago Bulls back in the 90s. But even if you didn't, there's a lot there. It unpacks a lot of information. And it's really very interesting what happened to those players and to Michael Jordan through that arc of time. For the Pro and Con Show, my name is Michael James Ott. Thanks for watching. Until the next show, bye for now.